The last 3 weeks, we've leaned into Anne Lamott's three prayers: wow, thank you, and help. And in many ways, these three prayers cover a lot of ground, and some might say they cover all the ground of human existence. And personally, though, I feel there is a lot more to pray. And today we lean into one of the biggest, hardest prayers. Today we sit with prayers and stories of grief. The gospel passage we just read is big, and it is full of some very big theological themes and questions. And in many ways, it is possible to walk away from that story saying, Jesus is kind of a jerk. Why did Lazarus have to die? Yes, Jesus resurrected him, but also, yes, Jesus waited. And in his waiting, he allowed Lazarus to suffer and die. If you've ever been near someone who is dying, you know that that time can be, of course, it can be a sacred and precious time. You know that it is also a painful time for everyone involved. If you've ever lost someone, you know that feeling the first couple of nights. If you manage to fall asleep at all, you wake up and think for just one moment, maybe they didn't really die. Maybe your loved one is still with you and you just finally awoke from the nightmare of losing them. But then you remember. And then it is as though it happened all over again. Not to mention in this particular story, what is at stake for Mary and Martha. Women could not own land at the time, and we have no inkling that Mary and Martha were married or had sons. So in all likelihood, their lives are funded by the goodwill of their brother, and in his death, they are left simply hoping the next male heir provides for them. They are avid supporters of Jesus' work, so they also now have to wonder what this means for Jesus. Why did he wait? It's okay to read this passage and think, wow, Jesus is a jerk. And the Bible as a whole, it tells us in multiple places that the cries of the oppressed and bereft rise to heaven like incense, and eventually God acts. But why eventually? Why not now? Why not when the first cries arise? Why a virus that targets the vulnerable? Why allow leadership to abandon children under 12 as the Delta variant rises and they need to go back to school? Why? It is okay to say God is a jerk. And then in today's passages, we also hear things that might give a completely different impression of Jesus and of God. Jesus plans to resurrect Lazarus, but when he comes tenderly face to face with the grief of his friends, he weeps. We're not told that he gets choked up. We're not told that a single magical tear falls from his face. We're not told that he was sad. We are told that he wept. He wept. And he can't have wept for the loss of Lazarus, knowing that he would rise. We can only conclude that Jesus, who is somehow also God, is confronted with the grief of his beloved and is overtaken with solidarity. He weeps. He weeps in solidarity with those who are hurting. He weeps. And in the Psalms today, we're told that God is near the brokenhearted and binds up those who are crushed in spirit. As I sit with this passage, I imagine a divine mother sitting next to a child with a scraped up knee. The child is weeping, and Holy Mama gently grabs her knee, pats it gently dry, cleans it, bandages it up, and then she pushes hair out of the child's eyes to look deep into them and say, I see that you are still sad. I will stay close to you. Would you like me to kiss your knee? The child nods shakily, and the mother kisses her knee, but the mother can sense that there is still pain beyond the physical pain of the knee. Is your heart hurting too? The child again nods. When my children's feelings are hurt, I ask them if I can kiss them on their nose. Since I can't kiss their feeling, I ask if I can kiss their nose, and their nose will carry my kiss deep within them and find their soul and deliver the kiss and remind them their soul is very loved. Our Holy Mama asks, "Can I kiss your nose so your heart can feel better too?" The child rolls their eyes at first, then stops and nods, and our Sacred Mother gently kisses their nose. God is near the brokenhearted and binds up those who are crushed in spirit. I want to suggest that our prayers of grief delivered up to God are often this muddy mess of emotions. We ask why, even as we say, "Come be near me." We say, "You are a cosmic jerk," even as we silently invite the Eternal One to come and bind up our crushed spirits. Grief is messy and often accompanied by other hard feelings like disbelief and anger, shame, a desire to somehow change what has already happened, rage, loneliness, a desire to be alone, paired with fear of being truly alone, and sometimes acceptance. And as we speak a prayer of grief, the important thing to remember is that God is a sacred mother, father, parent beyond gender who will sit with us in whatever we are feeling, whatever we need to say to God. God will receive our anger and our tears and our angry tears. God will hear our questions, the ones that we want answered and the ones we just want to speak so that we are heard. God is near to us in our grief, and as we interrogate God with righteous anger, as Lazarus' sisters did, God binds up our crushed spirits and allows themselves to be vulnerable enough to weep with us. Today, we bring our stories of grief. I imagine we have arms full of grief as we come together to share after the year and a half we've had. Bring them. Let us be near to one another. Let us weep together. Let us bind up each other's crushed spirits. Amen.